Listen, we got some news to discuss involving Errol Spence Jr. Ladies and gentlemen, obviously everybody in the boxing world, they most of them have piled it on Mr. Errol Spence. We're gonna get all into it. Errol Spence gave us an update, on his situation. He also fired back at some of the haters that had a lot of craziness to say. This guy Errol Spence is definitely a guy who is just receiving a lot of hate for whatever reason. It really makes absolutely no sense. Um, but he did get beat down, and it was an epic beat down, and I don't think a lot of people have let that go. Spence is opening up on a lot of mistakes that he's made throughout his career. I don't know if this is some kind of situation where he's trying to let everybody know why. I don't want to say the demise, but almost like a fall from grace. Is no other way to slice it. I know Errol Spence fans don't like to hear this. Make sure you subscribe for more boxing news updates and more. Spence fans hate to hear this, but it was a fall from grace moment. I do believe that he could have possibly gotten back. He's obviously, if you don't lose to anybody else but Crawford, I mean, you in good shape. But Spence opened up about his troubles, with drinking. He revealed that that's one of his worst mistakes ever. He's urging fighters. He said the worst thing I did to myself was drinking. If you an athlete, focus on the end goal. Hopefully, it's a better situation for you and your loved ones. So clearly, that's something that he feels that he struggled and had a battle with. Javante Davis came out and agreed with that. Um, it's crazy to say the least. We don't know what these boxers, athletes are doing. If you are an athlete, you should focus up, especially in boxing where just any little mistake could be catastrophic. You can't play boxing, and Errol Spence Jr., he just got to get his swagger right. Obviously, when you lose a fight like Spence lost, you're gonna need some time off. So it's not surprising that we haven't seen him in this time. When you get beat down like that, you got to take a year off, maybe two. And you seeing Spence go through a hiatus. He was supposed to fight. What was it, Sebastian? Fondora, but for whatever reason, that fight didn't go through. So people wanted to see the return of Spence. Um, he also fired back at people calling him washed. He says some of y'all use he washed too loosely. He says post. Basically, he told him to post. He's trolling the people that's saying that, and he's saying to post one of your peoples to see if they really washed. So he clearly is upset and uptight about all of these remarks that have come out about him, because you do have a situation where people are piling it on. Period. Um, Errol Spence Jr. was dominant. Let's keep it 100 with the people. His record was clearly unblemished. There's a reason why this was one of the biggest fights in boxing when he went up against Terrence Crawford. Errol Spence is 28-1, no draws. He was the truth and a half. Let's keep it real. It was a lot of people who thought Spence was gonna beat Terrence Crawford. It was split down the middle. When you talk to fighters, when you talk to pro boxers, we ask them what are they gonna who's gonna win. Nobody's giving a definitive answer. Nobody knows. They don't. Nobody want to acknowledge what could happen. Nobody. You go to Shakur Stevenson at the time. We all know the relationship that he has with Terrence Crawford. He'll come out and say he don't know. So this was the kind of energy that was going on prior to the fight actually going down. People really need to do their homework. Spence had a crowd of supporters who thought he was going to be victorious. So is a reason he did a lot of work to get to the point that he was in. and he had the courage to step in there. I believe that in this, I want to call it a renaissance in boxing, where we are getting these fights that we want to see. These cards are just getting more and more electric. It seems like fighters are not afraid to lock horns with the best. And I just feel like Errol Spence, he took the short end of the stick. I look at a lot of other fighters who lost. You look at, for instance, look at Ryan Garcia. He lost to Tank. That was a big fight people wanted to see. Um, I, listen, Ryan Garcia clearly went up after that fight. People didn't really jump all over him to the level that would happen to Spence. You look at a guy like Edgar Berlanga. He lost to Canelo Alvarez. All of these guys have elevated in that loss, to a major opponent. Spence, to me, was the one who got dismantled, where everybody just feels like he should just pack it up. So he's got to remind the world why he was that guy, why he was a fighter where everybody wanted to see this fight happen in the first place. People forget about that. So he just got to remind everybody, because we all know people got amnesia, especially in boxing. They'll turn on you in a heartbeat. So these are the things that Spence is battling. I do believe that he is an incredible fighter. I think that he need to get he need to get a decisive win under his belt. Go the slow route. I wouldn't come in and try to take on an elite fighter right now. I would, take maybe two good, tune-up fights, get right. I would probably stay away from Crawford after what he did. I don't think there's anything else that you could do. Crawford was just the better man, and Spence was real. He came out and applauded, Crawford and things of that nature, and he was a good sport about the situation. But the people, I just feel like, didn't reward him, and this is why you have situations where the best are still may not want to fight the best, because they'll look at a situation like the Spence Crawford situation. Don't nobody want to go out the way Spence did. So the way he got beat down and humiliated, he was a true brunt of all jokes. People clowned him. It just is what it is. It's unfortunate, but that's what happened. He was completely clowned. It was a clown show in there. So it's a lot of things that got to get reworked and rewritten, for his career. But I believe that he could figure it out. I'm gonna keep it all the way 100 with you. Shout out to the Truth, Errol Spence. For more boxing news, updates, and more, make sure you subscribe to Flight Sports TV. We just want to hope that Errol Spence can return back to prominence. Shout out to all the fans of Spence. Let's get in the comment section. Let's get interactive. It's Flight Sports TV.